Hi everyone, I'm Kim and I'm here with Juji, Lee, and Shira. Unfortunately, Taris can't be with us today. We are five friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. We've all heard that patience is a virtue, but for many of us, it's pure torture. Why is it so hard for us to wait? Well, for one, we're not living in the most patient society. Everyone wants everything now. Have we become conditioned to be impatient? Let's dive right in. For me, I actually don't have any issue at all waiting, like in lines, from at the supermarket, or if someone doesn't like send me an email right back, like I'm fine with that. I am actually really patient when it comes to other people and waiting for others. But the one thing I noticed, especially recently, that I'm very impatient about is like my own journey in life, especially career. Making those goals and getting to where I want to be, with whether it's with my company, with my speaking, even with this platform that we've built. It's like I just want to be over there now, and I find myself really just piling a million things on my plate to like do and get it done. And I'm just impatient with myself and my goals. How about you? How about you ladies?
Kim, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where is there?
Exactly. There is nowhere. And I'm so aware that I'm not being present and enjoying the journey now here, because the future doesn't exist right now. I know is all we have. And it's like I forget that all the time, and I come back to it. It's kind of like a up and down roller coaster. It's like some weeks I'm so patient and I'm just so happy and content with where I'm at. And then other weeks I feel like I'm being tortured by my own brain.
Well, actually, I want to go to what Z said. So there in your mind is where? Just like successful this and traveling that, and like where do you take yourself?
I guess there is my own place in a different state, more money, more travel, more experiences that I want to have with my husband. And what's interesting is that will all come. And then I guarantee you when I'm there and I've arrived that I'll want more.
It's different there.
Well, they talk about happiness is such a farce in a way, because like we feel like when I have this or that or this person or that job, I will be so much happier. And then for many of us, we get the thing and then we're like, wait a minute. Why am I not so much happier?
Yeah. And it's so true. I was thinking the other day, I was sitting in my impatience, and but it wasn't about my my future goals. It was about the work I was doing for my day job in television. I just had so much to do and I felt so impatient. Like I wanted everything off my plate now. And I had so much to do, so much volume, that I just was like, it was driving me crazy. So I sat there and I was thinking about it and I was like, am I impatient or am I extremely uncomfortable? Is it the same thing, kind of like? And then I started to just think about what is making me this uncomfortable sitting here with this crazy long list of things to do that I can't seem to really make a dent on.
Yeah. I think that discomfort is part of the impatience, maybe, because when we asked you, where is it that you want to be in terms of like this thing that we're all doing together, right? Which is very exciting and fun. But your head went to there when I'm out of the state and I've got money. And so it all kind of works together. It's like we want it all, we're looking into the future. And yeah, I think, for me too, it sometimes makes you kind of dismiss or forget, to enjoy the journey now, especially with something that is good and positive.
Yeah, and there's so much good in my life, and there's so much good in all of our lives, and there's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to enjoy in this moment, And it's not that I don't, I do all the time, you know, it's just, there's these uncomfortable moments.
You know, the thing is also that our mind tends to go to what we don't have, right? So it's just like, yeah, I have enough food to eat. Yeah, I got a bed to sleep in. Yeah, I have the people. But sometimes we just go into, but I want that. I want the thing I don't have yet, you know? But to get back to your point, Kim, before, one of the realizations I've had in the last month is this notion of piling things on and taking on other people's stuff, like work. It became so clear to me that part of my issue of being overwhelmed is this idea that I have to do for others or please others, or be responsible for others. You guys know that I do this women's group called ACA. And in the reading, there was this whole paragraph about how we take on responsibility for other people, but not enough for ourselves. So that has been such a theme in my life, not just at work, but also in my marriage, my soon not to be marriage. Today would have been 30 years, by the way. But it's fine. I'm so compartmentalizing it, but it's kind of huge when I think about it. But I think about in my marriage, I took on so much stuff. And then of course there's never enough time to do all of these unrealistic things that are on your ridiculous to-do list. So when I started to really get that in my bones, it's like, no, just hold on. That can wait till Thursday. That can be done next week. Like, just simmer down. Just slow the hell down, look around, take a deep breath, and just either delegate or say, I can't get to this till next week. And just you just feel a little bit more in control when you realize, because we talked about time a couple of weeks ago, and they kind of go together, the time and the patience and the impatience. And it's this whole construct that we make for ourselves that is so unnecessarily burdensome. You know what I mean?
It's so true. I totally relate to that, Shira, because I also, and we talked about checklists the other day when we were on a call, and I'm notorious for checklists everywhere, in my phone, on paper, and just the thought alone of my lists that are ongoing forever, that alone is overwhelming. Yeah. But when I start to really focus in on what can I do today and what can I leave for next week or even next month, and start to prioritize, it could be a little bit different. But we want to get it all now.
I know.
And check it all off. We don't want checklists anymore. But I don't think that's possible. I want to get rid of my checklist.
Well, what about the life checklist? I think that a lot of people can relate to like being impatient about little things and checking things off of your to-do list. But what about like your life to-do list of like, I want to get married by a certain age, and then you get impatient when that doesn't happen, and inevitably what you resist persists. Yeah. So people who are, I don't like using the word desperate because it has such negative connotations, but like the more you hang on tightly to this idea that you should be married by a certain time, or you should make partner at that firm by a certain time, the more unhappy you become in the present. And a lot of the time, like you said, Kim, the end result isn't all it's cracked up to be. Like potentially, you're envious of all of your friends because they are in the relationships that you wish you were in, but you don't know what's going on in those relationships. You don't know if those are the happy-go-lucky, perfect relationships. I know a lot of people assumed I was in the perfect relationship. So yeah, and I assumed you were in the perfect relationship too, Shira. So, and that's, first of all, I don't even know if that even exists. So no. That's a sort of a side note, but this pressure that we put on ourselves of like these milestones that we're supposed to reach. And I realized of myself that I'm a late bloomer, and
when it comes to what?
Well,
with the marriage thing?
No, actually with my life just generally speaking, like I had a career, I had a path, I had a very clear direction with milestones that I was supposed to hit. And usually I hit them early because I would be like, well, by the time I'm 30, I need to be here. Oh, I was there by 30. And when I was there, I was like, this there is like not as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. And then I was like, oh, I know why, because I'm supposed to actually be here, not here. So then that became the goal. So there's this like chasing of the carrot thing that happens. I remember having like a 6-month period of my life where I was like, everything is perfect. I have arrived.
Yes.
And then,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to challenge you on the late bloomer thing, because I don't think
I was going to say
I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah. I don't think that's a thing either. I think the late bloomer thing is a perception in your own mind. Late bloomer for what?
Yeah.
Well,
you know?
I guess to me, when it comes to my path and where, and there's no there anymore. So there's no like perception of where I think I'm going. It's more just like the first 30 years were like a great opportunity for me to try something, fail at it a couple of times, you know, starting a business was a big part of that. And then realizing like, I actually have a very long life ahead of me. So this like being somewhere by the time you're 30, 35, 40 is still like, that's still just half your life. What do you have planned for the second half of this life? Average of 84-year life cycle, you know, it's like, I couldn't even picture that. I couldn't even fathom being like older than 35.
You know, I just wanted to add here, because I was just thinking about it while I was listening to you. I just realized, even on this call, that it probably is so helpful to know what triggers my impatience. Like you guys, you know, Lee, you mentioned the checklist, and Juju, you mentioned the life list. And, you know, the other day, Juju, you had mentioned to me about this idea of like, you know, you have your to-do list and, you know, physically cross off what you got done. So you could look at that and look at all the things you got done, not look at all the things that are, you know, still on there, but things that you physically got done. And I told you guys last night, I would just delete it out of my little Word document. So it like never existed. Like I never got anything done. But I realized that triggers my impatience. And it's just good to know my triggers, which is the overwhelm, having a ton of stuff, a long to-do list. Okay, so that's going to trigger it. So then I have to bring things into the picture that could, you know, have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
So crossing it off, you know, having a to-do list that maybe is like my to-do list for today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, like not just one long to-do list. Now, and I know to-do lists don't work for everyone, and I think it's great. I attempted not having a to-do list once. I read a book and I thought it was great. This guy said, don't get rid of to-do lists, just
Did
put
you
it
pour
on.
gasoline on yourself?
No, it actually was great. It was very freeing. You know what I did recently that I want to share with you guys? I had a long list of people that I needed to call. Just old friends, people that during the pandemic I didn't have a chance to catch up with. And this list just kept getting longer and longer. And I had it just sitting here hanging from my computer. And one day I was on a walk with my sister and I was telling her about this list. And I said, I just don't have the time. And I hate to say that. Like, I hate to even say, like, I don't have the time to have an hour conversation with all of these friends of mine, like old friends from old jobs, people that I just, you know, I want to catch up with them. I want to, but I just don't find I have the time. And I have the time. I want to, you know, make videos with you ladies. I want to take care of my mom. Like, there's just, I guess, you know, people in my life that are just, they take precedent. And my sister goes, do yourself a favor. Literally throw that list in the garbage. Like, just get rid of it, toss it. And I was like, but I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to remember to go. She's like, Kim, if they really need you, they'll call you. Like, you'll talk to them eventually. You'll think of someone when you're driving somewhere. Oh, let me call that person. She goes, just get rid of it. I threw it away. It felt uncomfortable, but I threw it away. And it felt so freeing to throw that shit away.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say something here, and this may resonate with you, may not, because part of me is understanding of that. I gotta call, I gotta do it. And it's part of, and I think we've talked about this before, this people pleasing thing. Like, I want people to think that I am caring and compassionate. And so I have to do these things to show the bit. And it's like, hold on a minute. Is that what I'm doing? Like, is that really what I'm doing? Because I think when you start paring the shoulds away and the noticing, I have definitely noticed my people pleasing. Like, I don't think I realized how bad it was. But when you start to really get in touch with that, you're like, who am I pleasing? Like, where do I fall in that mix? Where does my peace of mind fall in the mix, you know?
Definitely. And my sister also, because we have these long walks each night, which is lovely. It's, our self-care time, and talking is medicine. We just talk and we figure out a lot of stuff with each other. And there was, something else I was venting to her about work and the volume and how I am overwhelmed most of the time with this one job I have. And I just feel like I'm never going to get it done, which just triggers the whole impatience in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, and she just was encouraging me to talk to my boss about it. She's like, at some point you're going to have to just speak up and say, I just can't physically do all of this. And I do that. I do say, I can't get to that today. I'll get to that. But it's that whole, like, always working in emergency mode versus like actually just enjoying the day and getting stuff done, So again, it's just something good to be aware of so that I can either talk to someone about it or just be aware of it so that it doesn't stress me out so much,
Well, that kind of goes back to the way that Shira described, like, there's not, like, our society isn't set up patiently. And so, like, just remind yourself every once in a while, there's no such thing as an accounting emergency. There just isn't. Like, that's not real. There are health emergencies. There's, like, things on fire. Like, those are real, actual emergencies. Like, I had to figure that out for myself when I worked in fashion. Like, there's no such thing as a fashion emergency.
Yeah.
But when someone wants something by 1 o'clock and it
Right.
feels like you are not going to make that deadline, it feels like an emergency.
Right. I think,
Exactly.
I was going to say.
But that's the system that they set up in a way that isn't functional. Like, the idea in this case is, like, when you, like, really pull back, and I understand why you feel that pressure. I put pressure on myself to get things done by a certain time, and if I'm lagging behind, it feels not good. It's just this idea that, like, yeah, that's how business was initially set up, and this is the opportunity for us to all just sort of reconsider, like, yeah, we, like, there is an actual crisis going on, so, like, this accounting is not part of that.
Well, I also want to say that time management is another part of the puzzle here, right? Because some of us don't manage our time very well. I used to fall into that category. I've become a lot better, because sometimes things aren't realistic in terms of tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Like, some people might say, yeah, I'll get that to you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. But in the back of their mind, they're going, oh my God, I'm never going to get that done by tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So it's up to you individually to understand what your time management skills are and adjust accordingly,
Sure.
Yeah. And to get back to that, like, certain things are not an emergency, and that's true. Although I think things trigger us in the same way, though. Things can trigger us. You have a deadline at work. You have a family member nagging you for something, whether it's young kids or older, and it can trigger you in the same way that you might feel overwhelmed, or like, I have to get this done now. I have to get it over with. I have to take care of it. So yeah, not looking at always in black and white.
Yeah, and
Well,
in those
the
moments,
too is that, like, you already have your own impatience, so, like, taking on somebody else's is very compounding when it comes to like your own mental health.
It's so true.
And I guess in this case, like, how do you talk to your boss about the workload that you have? The idea is not to be like, I can't handle this amount of work. Just like, let's be realistic about what can be accomplished, because I want to do a good job for you. I don't want to have to rush through this, because then it'll probably make more work for me down the line, and you want to get it right the first time. So it's like putting it into that perspective for somebody, instead of being like, I just can't handle it, you know, like that already feels so much better than being like, I'm incompetent. You're not incompetent, obviously.
No, I know what you mean though. I think also just as a last sort of notion, sometimes it helps to just step outside of yourself for like a second. Like a lot of people can't do that. Just like pretend there's another one of you over here looking at all the crazy impatient stuff going on. And you'd be like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
So this is to give you like another perspective of like what you're doing to yourself. Because that's the thing, it's a frame of mind.
Yeah. I was actually about to share something that I do sometimes to like help me, like you said, physically get out of where I'm standing, like that emotional state. But so do you guys want to maybe go around? We'll wrap the episode by going around and just sharing like one thing that we do to help ourselves in, you know, when we are feeling impatient. Okay, well, I'll just start but Shira, it was kind of exactly what you just said. Like I'll take days and I'll just, if I'm having like a crazy moment of like total anxiety, overwhelm, and I just feel it, like it goes right up my chest. I can't even, it's like the worst feeling. Sometimes like when I catch it, when I'm in the moment, I'll stand up and I'll just physically take a step over and I'll look where I was standing. And usually this is something I learned in Landmark. Like I'll physically just step aside and be looking over there and be like, okay, what is that? That's so uncomfortable. I don't want to continue my day like that. And I'll just look at it and I'll just think of all the ways it's like making me feel, and I just feel so icky. But over here, it's like, I could breathe and like, and it just really it takes me out of it, which is just this small little moment. And the other day I was at the eyeglass store, and the eye doctor said to me, every 20 minutes, you should be looking away from the computer. She said, your eye muscles should not continuously be looking at a screen. She said, every 20 minutes, look away and let them relax for a second. And I was like, that's such good advice for like everything.
Yeah, it totally is.
How about you?
Well, for me, it's really just a mindset. So when I meditate, I definitely say things like, slow me down today. You know, I have enough time to do everything that I need to do. I slow down my speech. I eat more slowly. Just this sort of savoring of the moment really helps with patience. So that's my thing.
I think for me, it's if I'm in the moment and I'm impatient, I think I breathe. I breathe a lot, or I'm more aware of my breath. Well, I think I breathe all the time. Last time I checked, but I take deep breaths. That's something that I usually remember to do in my own impatience or overwhelm. I just like, you know, wherever I am, I'll take deep breaths, driving or not. And sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't always have a solution. I could just be irritable.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Sit with the shit.
Breath work is really important. How about you, Zhuge?
Well, I think that overall the mindset has changed from like, I gotta get to this point by this time, and just realizing that there is no there was an enormous relief for me. Every once in a while when technology is not quite going the way I had hoped, I do a little like like a sacral like and even just that, like I make that noise and then I laugh at myself, because I'm like, really, if this is my biggest problem today, then like I got it all figured out.
My dad always says, his saying my whole life has been, if that's all the problems you got in life, you got no problems. And I say it all the time.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, well, it's time to wrap this episode. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. If you guys like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests or questions by commenting below. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe,
Stay
everyone.
patient. Stay patient.
Yeah, be patient.